Now, this is an experiment to show that how sediment formed during the Noachian flood, and how sediment forms to create geologic record, the fossil record. Now, this is greens. They are different types of plants, and I'm going to mix it here in juice. And I'll use apple juice because it's the clearest juice, so you can see the sediment. Now there's the sediment, just like it would be in the floodwaters of Noah's flood. And of course, as the floodwaters went onto the land, it mixed. We were in turbidites, mixing the sediment with the water. Now, evolutionists claim the sediment was deposited over millions of years. This cannot be true because then fossils would disintegrate before they fossilized, and they require special preservation due to volcanic ash and other minerals in volcanic material, which replaces and permeates the bones. Now I'm going to drink this, but you'll notice that the sediment settles very rapidly. It cannot settle over months, years, hundreds of years, millions of years. That would be impossible. So it shows it had to have been formed rapidly. The point is that over a very short period of time, you'll notice that it's beginning to settle. It's not spread throughout the liquid, and it doesn't take days for this to happen. You have to keep it mixing in order to keep it from settling. So it has to be constantly moving water. So a formation cannot form over days or even many hours. Now this is a picture of the Susquehanna River from the Cornell University. This shows high transport of sediment. That's what it says right here. Susquehanna River in the spring with high Q and sediment transport. Geological Sciences 101. This is something evolutionists need to learn, is Science 101. There's sediment being transported, and it would be forming strata. Now, if this river slowed down and started creating a formation, how large would that formation be? Now here's a river that has slowed down and has deposited some sediment. Notice the dunes in this river. These are how the Coconino and other formed, which evolutionists claim were formed in the desert. No, they were not the desert. Now, some of it is Navajo and other formations like the Coconino and the Moenkopi. Now, these are cross-bedded sand dunes, they claim. Actually, there's evidence of ripples seen in these on surface layers. Here are some cross-bedded layers in the Navajo sandstone. The Coconino in the Grand Canyon even has pristine tracks. You can even see the toes. You can count the toes, there are 5. They don't know exactly what made these tracks, but they believe they're reptiles. But some of them look a lot like mammals, but there were only reptiles existing according to evolution at the time. Now, sand dunes in the desert do not preserve tracks. Definitely not this pristine. Now, this comes from Andrew Snelling's presentation showing the movement of the different sand underwater. This would be shallow water. Notice the soft volcanic ash underneath this hard layer. That would be the cross-bedded sandstone. Now these are some of the formations in Sedona, and you will notice the different sudden changes in the layers, the colors. Now this wouldn't happen over millions of years. This happens suddenly. Notice the difference up here too. A flat layer there, a flat layer there, and throughout this are flat layers. And these are, of course, the Torrelweep sandstone, the Green Line, it says, Coconino sandstone, which has the tracks and is cross-bedded, and the Schnebly Hill sandstone. These are sudden changes in current and direction in water, or volcanic mud flows. They also contain volcanic ash called bentonite, which means volcanic ash mixed with sediment by water. Another interesting feature of sediment is that it is deposited completely level. It's always dead level. Unless, of course, you get real close, you do see a little bit of erosion surface where the sediment stopped for a short time, and it had to be very short, like a few hours, possibly. And then, since then, it has been eroded out, creating canyons and other features. Now, this is something that did not happen in the past, but the canyons and other deep erosion occurred after these deposits. Most of these are Mesozoic, containing dinosaurs. And by the way, this is Sedona again. Have you ever seen tracks like these? These are Coconino again. Notice how pristine they are. Like they were made yesterday, and you can see the up push behind them. And also they show too that some kind of current was pushing on them, because many of the tracks have the up push. This up push here is to the side. And also you can see some very tiny tracks in there. This does not happen in desert sand dunes like evolutionists claim. It even preserves raindrops. In fact, I have one of these from another state, Georgia, I believe, from the very similar strata. The Bible says there was no rain before the flood, so this had to have occurred at the time of the flood or afterwards, most likely as the flood was just beginning. You'll not only notice the flat strata that is found in large formations, but you also find it clear down to the rocks. This rock is a very small rock, but notice the level strata. Now these are not varves in a lake. This is the a slice of the Grand Canyon. Hermit Shale also has tracks. In fact, the animals are unknown simply because we've never found any skeletons in the cross-bedded red sandstone made out of silicon, which is a quartz sand. Now, if it was formed in a river, This is the Coconino Sandstone in this area here. There's Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona, clear over almost to California. In fact, part of it is in California, containing dinosaur tracks all the way from Arizona, which is also found in New York and New Jersey. Now, a river or lake does not form this type of sediment. Now we're back to the herbal drink here. Notice how it's settled towards the top. It's not mixed anymore. Although this settles a lot slower than rocks and sand would in a river or in any a geologic formation. Now you will notice that as you drink the herb, these are greens, all kinds of greens, you have to keep it stirred up, otherwise it settles. And that's what happened during the flood. It had to keep moving, and that was also how all of these geologic formations are formed, that formed rocks. These are called stromatolites, but they could also be formed by layers in the rock of different type of material. That's a whale vertebra. And you can see some of the rocks here. Here's trilobites in here, and you can even see layering in the rock. And some better ones are probably things like this. Yeah. Well, notice how this one here, this is Miocene from the ocean area near, it has nothing to do with the ocean, this formation. Now notice the flat layer there, here, and you can see some kelp plants, and also fish are found in this material. And there is layering here, I don't know if you can see it. And then you'll notice on this side, here's another flat layer. These are surfaces that formed, and often a lot of dead fish will come down and deposit on that, creating a death layer. This happens rapidly. It's not something that is a continuous process. This is catastrophic. And all sediment are formed catastrophically. And you also notice too, a lot even in the volcanic rocks, you'll notice these. These are slickensides, where the hard material is slid. And also rocks like this, you'll find where they've been rounded by being ground in sand, you know, like you was putting it in a polisher. There, now you can see in my glass here, notice the material. See how it's coming apart? It wants to settle. There you can see it a little better. And I have to keep swirling it, creating turbidity currents in order to keep it from settling, in order to get all the nutrients. Otherwise it'll have a glob in the bottom of the glass. And this proves that evolution is false when they say the geologic column was formed over millions of years.